Welcome to Booted Dudes, a Doomtown Reloaded podcast. Today, the Booted Dudes celebrate their first milestone, read out a lot of reader mail, and talk about Ghost Rock and the secret behind mad science. Welcome to the Booted Dudes, episode 3. My name is Michael.
And my name is Hans.
Alright, let's get started. So Hans, how booted are you today?
Actually, I'm quite fine, because I did some sleeping in the afternoon. So that's why I'm actually quite fit this evening. Although we have played some Doomtown games.
Some very exhausting games.
Yeah, we actually used a deck which was sent to us by
Matthew Andrews.
Okay.
And also, by the way, Matthew Andrews, the person who won our Huckster contest. And I also tried out the other Huckster decks that were sent in, because with most of those decks, we got a lot of description about like strategies and card choices. And, you know, people who were sending in things were putting so much work into it that, you know, I just had to try them out. And they're all really fun. And actually, I won all of the games with the Ace in the Hole deck.
Okay, cool. Actually, I think the Huckster deck, you tried 2 times tonight, and I tried it, I think, 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
I think it's a benchmark for control decks, I would say.
Yeah, it's super control.
And actually it's not that fun to play against the deck. But when you play it, you are just like in control the whole of the time. And but that's it.
I am super pumped because, we have 1,000 listens.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yay, that's a lot more than I ever thought we would get. So thank you everybody so much who ever listened to an episode. You are all awesome. And that's why we decided to dedicate this episode mostly to the audience.
Yeah.
So on our agenda today is reader mail, because we got a lot of them. There is some fluff, mad science and Ghost Rock this time. We talk about a few cards from
because Michael is now graduating at the Collegium.
Yes, I'm at the weird university.
Yeah.
And maybe we're going to talk about mad science, actually, like in the card game.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested.
And we'll talk about some of the cards from the last Saddleback that was released. Because right now there is, like, I think 200 spoilers online with like everything, like the whole new faction box, and it's just way too much for us. So we just decided to talk about some of the cards that we actually have in our hands here, which is the Nightmare at Noon Saddlebag.
Yeah.
Reader mail first.
Yeah.
Stephen Mahoney sent a mail to us. He said, I just want to let you guys know that I really enjoy your podcast and that you give due focus to the great storyline in the Deadlands universe, where others seem to only focus on cards and what they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
He goes on to say, I did want to recommend you start telling funny stories that have come from playing games or funny decks that you've encountered. What do you think, Hans?
Yeah, it's a pretty good idea. Although, we should talk about our mistakes and stuff. Because I think when Michael and me are playing, I think I'm overcommitting most of the time. so it's normally that I lose my in a 50-50 fight. I lose my really important guys, and you most of the time lose your not so important guys, and that's why you win most of the time.
Oh, well. I don't win most of the time.
This is one of the stories actually where I think this is at the core of Doomtown, that you, like in poker, that you really have to know what is at stake.
Yeah.
And what you are committing and how the odds are that you are winning.
That's right.
And I think this is one point which is really different to the other card games, in like the other LCGs at least.
Yeah. I remember one time when I was a bit overcommitting, I remember actually blowing up Max Payne on the R&D wrench because I pulled a club. That was kind of not necessary, but fun. All right. So, Stephen Mahoney has sent a story himself. He says, I was playing a 3-player game, and the player using Morgan Gadgetorian invented Quaterman, which he called Robocop, then outfitted him with a regular horse and Lane Healy with a mechanical horse, which seemed opposite to me. We then had a shootout at my jail, and it ended in me losing after Lane magically transporting to the deed. The shootout had several rounds, including his tiny grifter pistol whipping the big bad sheriff home. Finally, end round ended, and the other player removed his dudes to all the open deeds around the board and won the game just by walking into each store in town after the giant gunfight at the jail. Well, that's one heck of a story.
We never played like a 3 or 4 player game, but I think it should be as taxing as a Game of Thrones 4 player game, because they're like the board state is defined by maybe like, I don't know, 50 cards, and you have to have all, because everybody can win at every time. You really have to think about, and I think that's the same in Doomtown, because you can't really move, because if you move out of your town or your part of the town, the others will just move in and have like X control points.
Oh boy. Would you say that you might actually be booted after playing a 4-player game of Doomtown?
Definitely.
Hey! Alright. Another reader mail. Muad Deep sent in, howdy fellas, love the podcasts.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Very informative and fun. I enjoy the discussions about the mythology as well, since I'm new to the game. One request. Really like the music you use. I found Well Bad, but couldn't find the other. Probably spelling it wrong. Could you add the name of the bands to the description of the podcast?
Yeah, it's your band, isn't it?
Yay, it's just me in my studio making weird electronic music. Thank you very much for liking my music. I'm gonna add my homepage to the show notes. And you know, the song that he is referring to is the one that I used for the shootout tournament special episode, I think.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, well, it's maybe not the greatest composition I've ever done. It's actually just some snippets from the what's the English name? It's Spiel mir das Lied vom Tod.
Yeah, really famous Western
Yeah.
movie. Okay, I just looked it up. The original title is Once Upon a Time in the West, or C'era una volta il West.
Muad also says, and I have to agree on using a different word than fluff. It does generally have a negative connotation. How about a contest to come up with a better word? I'm gonna go with bones, because it gives structure and support to the fleshy part of the game. I bet you'd get some interesting responses. Thanks again for the podcasts, Corey. Well, thank you, Corey. Well, what do you think? Actually, I like flesh and bones.
Yeah, me too.
But I was thinking the other way. I was thinking like the flesh is like the fluff around your game, and the bones is like the core mechanics.
Yeah, the bones are linked to the mechanics.
I think so. So we're officially in the flesh section of our podcast now. And the contest
rather dodgy.
Yeah. Well, a contest would be interesting, but I think we've already have a winner, because I really like this one, actually. I think, yeah, let's stick with that. So, one more mail from Albert Adolf. He says, hi, I just found your podcast. I really like the fluff part, by which he means the flesh part, of course. And congratulations for doing it in a foreign language. Thank you very much, Albert.
You.
If you can announce our sheriff event, that would be a great help. Maybe someone is interested in travel for a few easy trophies. Our local meta is 8 persons a week.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a lot more than we have. That's like 4 times as much.
Wait, in Hamburg there are 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
With like now, if
With
I
5
would
people.
show up, we have 5 people.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
With some traveling players, we expect now somewhat around 12 or so. Sheriff event 2015 in Budapest, Hungary. It's on September the 12th. And there's also a Facebook event that I will put in the show notes. So, to answer your question, yes, we will announce your sheriff event. We've already done it, actually.
Yeah. Budapest is a nice city. I've been 2 times in my life to Budapest.
Really?
Yeah, one time on a conference and the second time just on holiday. Pretty cool.
Nice. And also he invited us as well. I don't know if we can make the trip. How far is it from here?
I don't know. You have to take the plane, I think.
Ah, Jesus. Well, it would be very lovely with like 12 people playing Doomtown. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
more power to you. good luck with the event. Everybody who might be interested in going to Budapest, please check out the Facebook event and you will find everything you need to know there.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the cards from, what was the pack?
Nightmares at Noon, I think.
Nightmares at Noon, yeah. With the new headlines.
Oh yeah, it's a new mechanic. We haven't tried it out though yet.
No.
I think it's gonna be a thing because those cards are pretty strong.
Yeah, I think it puts emphasis on who is first.
Yeah.
Because you can play your headline and the other one cannot play this really strong card.
So should we talk about one of those?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Which one?
A fight they'll never forget.
Yeah.
It's a headline. It's a 2 of clubs. And it says, action, headline, cost 0. Shootout. Each dude in your posse gets +1 bullets. After each time any dude is aced as a casualty, the shooter in the other posse permanently gets 1 control point. Ace this card. Whoa.
I think it's a pretty decisive shootout which you can initiate, or?
Yeah.
So if you really... I think it's good for like Sloan, where you have like most of the time more like cheap guys. And then everybody gets +1 bullets. And then the longer the fight takes, the more control points you gain.
Yeah. I think actually this is what Election Day Slaughter kind of tried to be. It's like this really, really big shootout fight. It's pretty good. And also, getting the control points. I think that's going to be interesting because if you are in a really big shootout, you probably want to keep your shooter alive. So it's probably going to be like one person in each posse that starts amassing control points. Probably.
But I think as soon as you play this card, the other one will turn away from the shootout after the first round.
Yeah.
Because it's...
Probably.
I don't know, yeah.
But I think
like
it's
a
pretty
good card
strong.
for certain decks.
The +1 bullet is... because you only have one shooter. So you get +1 bullet on your shooter and everybody else is assisting anyways. But then again, it kind of helps when your shooter is taken out, so you can choose a new shooter and he's going to be stronger as well.
Yeah.
But then if your shooter is taken out, you lose the control points. It's kind of complicated, actually.
Oh, wait, yeah. So each dude in your posse gets +1 bullets throughout the whole shootout. So this benefits only your shooter.
Or maybe you want to choose, if it's a multi-stage fight, you want to choose different shooters in each round so that your control points are not based on this one person who could get kidnapped or something. So you might be incentivized to split it up. I don't know. I think we're going to have to test this one.
Yeah.
And then there is one more card in the growing list of fancy, new, shiny clothing that your cowboys can put on.
Yeah.
There is the Dog's Duster.
Yeah, actually we are talking about this and I think neither of us has played an attire yet. Or?
No, never.
But I think a new hat and Dog's Duster is pretty cool, isn't it?
It's almost a complete set.
I think it's for... We will have to have an episode about starting influence and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think this is might be a really good card if you're really focusing on just on dudes. Yeah, a Dog's Duster. It's 3 of hearts. It's an attire. While they are not wanted, and this dude gets +1 influence. If this dude is a deputy, they do not become wanted for joining a posse at a private location. Noon boot. If this dude is unbooted, call out a wanted dude at this location, and it costs 2.
Okay, so this dude gets +1 influence if they are not wanted, which they probably are not when you equip it. And then also they don't get bounty for starting shootouts in private locations. So that's solid. And then the Noon Boot ability, what does it let you do? Because I think it has a very special purpose.
Yeah. It's not like the Arsenal.
Nope.
Because the dude has to be unbooted. So you can't go with a dog's duster to an out of town deed and just call somebody out. This is not possible with this equipment.
Yeah, so that's not a thing.
So where do you want to use it?
Well, I think only in your opponent's home, probably. No, I think that's it. Just in an opponent's home. Or maybe we're missing something. If we're missing something, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. That would be a good idea.
But it's pretty strong, because you can walk into there, you can call out somebody, you don't get a bounty, which you usually would, because your home is always private. So, what is it good against?
I don't know. If you have like a flaming sword or a holy roller, then you can pressure really like to have some kind of rush deck. You go into their home, just kill everybody.
Yeah, that's possible.
If you are faster than the other guys, if they want like a Morgan deck who wants to have some deeds out and just have their guys at their home base, and you go in with Dog's Duster and maybe like Abraham Grothy or whoever, if you're really playing like an equipment game, really fast, and then like just hope that the other guy, that you are not unprepared.
Oh, all right.
I hate this card.
Oh, it's so good. Well, yeah, I think too it's good against Landslide and those kinds of decks. Or maybe generally any deck that relies on like very central characters. Like I remember playing against Desolation Row sometimes and having you have this one of the Ames brothers with a ludicrous amount of influence, like 4 or 5 influence, and I had no way to win by control points because you had just so much influence on him.
Yeah.
Maybe, well. Okay, one card I would like to talk about is the Fate Dispenser, because it's a gadget, and it's also a goods, and it's an improvement. It is cost 1 and difficulty 10, and it says, after this is invented, attach it to an in-town deed you control. Controller Noon boot. If your hand has fewer cards than your maximum hand size, draw a card. Well, that's basically Circle M-Range. Kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
A bit. And Circle M-Range is incredibly strong.
This I think this is really strong too.
Yeah, I think it's solid.
Because we talked about draw. This is a straight draw card.
Yeah.
It replaces itself after the first use. And it's a check, so difficulty 10. It doesn't, work against itself in drawing.
Yeah.
So if you draw it like the card itself, then it will still work.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like, it seems to be a circus card, but only Morgan can build it.
Yeah, mostly.
It doesn't really make much sense.
No, that does not make sense. But it's a very circusy thing, you know. I've seen those Fate Dispensers in actual circuses in real life.
Which fate was dispensed to you?
Actually, I don't know. I've been carrying around one Fate snippet that I got from a fortune cookie, and I think it said, I'm not a very smart person, but at least I'm a collection of a lot of experiences. I like that one. So, it's a solid card. It helps you draw cards, and if you've listened to our episode on card advantage, then you will know when it is good and when it is not good, because it's the same as Circle M-Range. All right. Do we talk about more cards?
I think just one. Sister Mary Gideon, because I used it today.
Oh, the bad sister.
I think Sister Mary Gideon is really cool because you can really put much pressure on the opponent from the beginning. I equipped it with a rapier, and the rapier is really cheap, and you put really pressure on the opponent from the beginning because you always have to say, okay, do I get more dudes into the fight? This risks you to lose more dudes, and Sister Mary Gideon gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah, wait, how exactly?
Okay. Yeah, because she's 9 and she has 0 bullets, but she's a stud. She's 1 influence, she's a law dog, and she's blessed 1. And while Mary is the only dude in your posse, she gets +1 bullets for each dude in the opposing posse.
Holy roller Batman. Is that a good card?
Yeah. So she's basically every time +1 bullets.
Yeah. So
she's a stud 1.
The more dudes you send against her, the stronger she gets.
Yeah.
And this makes her incredibly strong, like just waltzing into your opponent's home when you are like the, what is it called? The second Law Dog's outfit.
The arsenal.
The arsenal. When you're the arsenal.
Yeah, and then you're using the rapier, and then you have like stud 10, and if you have a really good shooter deck, then you can shoot the hell out of the guys from the beginning.
Yeah, because I've played against it, and it's a very hard decision to make, because you have this 2-stud in your home, and she calls out one of your weak dudes. Now then, what I would normally do is, like, I have 4 dudes at this home, let's just throw them all in, and they're going to win the fight no matter what. But then she gets incredibly strong. So you need to have really strong dudes to be able to hold up against her.
Yeah. Are there cards where you can lure other dudes into the fight?
Like other enemy dudes?
Yeah.
Ooh, not that I know of. No. There is, wait, doesn't A.V. Klein do something like this?
Yeah, A.V. Klein does something like this.
But like, it has something to do with influence. She needs to have more or less influence.
Something like this, yeah.
Yeah, she can do that, but she's, A.V. Klein is a fourth ring character, so...
Yeah, they won't
be
happen to be in the same outfit.
But, Sister Merigideon with a rapier or any kind of weapon, or even miracles like Holy Roller or Shield of Faith make her incredibly strong. Just as a lone fighter, you just send out there and start some trouble. It's a very good card, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
So now you have prepared something for the mad. No.
Yes, I am not entirely unprepared.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the flesh and the bones of mad science. Now, this is where I'm standing at the podium at the weird university in Gomorrah and talk to people. Because actually, let me tell you first, from the point of view of a mad scientist, why mad science is awesome and why it's safe and why it's not, all this kind of weird stuff that other people say about mad science. It's perfectly safe. Come on. Mad science is based entirely on ghost rock. Ghost rock was found some time ago in the maze in California and in some other places as well. And it kind of looks like coal, but there is those white flakes in this coal. And now what your grandmother might have told you when she was tucking you into bed was that these white flakes are like souls of lost people. And, they are crying and wailing when you burn the coal. But that's not correct. Those white flakes are just impurities. And those impurities actually react with the ghost rock itself, with the bauxite that it is made of. I have no idea what bauxite is, but you said, It's...
Yeah, actually, it's the mineral where you get aluminum from.
Oh, I see. So this bauxite reacts with the white flakes, and it works as a catalyst. And that makes it so that ghost rock burns 100 times longer than normal coal. Okay. And also a lot hotter. And also, it is very porous, and there's a lot of trapped air in it.
Okay.
And so again, when your grandmother told you that ghost rock is crying and wailing when you burn it, that's just poppycock. That's crazy. This wailing you hear is actually the noise that happens when the air that is trapped is expanded and it cracks the coal around it, and then it just emits from these very tiny holes in the coal. Okay. So it's all perfectly normal and explainable. There's nothing crazy going on here. And, ghost rock can also burn underwater for a time.
Okay.
So that leads to steam engines that are very powerful. Because, they burn very long, the water and the heat is not a problem. So ghost rock was very popular. In fact, it was even so popular that it was used to make weapons, like swords, for example. You could forge swords, and if you used ghost rock to make your steel hot, then you would get something that is called ghost steel, that is both harder and lighter than usual steel, which made it possible for like gyrocopters to exist. Like those steel-made flying objects.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I wonder when the gyrocopters will appear, and that would be a cool attire.
Oh yeah, that's going to be one hell of an attire. So people, to sum it up, ghost rock is just normal science. You can explain it and you can forget about all those stories.
Okay.
Except, of course, all the stories are true. This is the kind of spoilery part, so if you're a Deadlands player, you don't want to hear the meta plot spoiled. Please skip this section.
Okay.
But, so the white flakes in Ghost Rock, they are not actually impurities. The white flakes are the souls of bad people.
Okay.
Because in the world of the Deadlands, when bad people die, their souls don't go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, if they are really, really strong souls and very bad persons, then they go straight to the hunting grounds where they become Manitus. Mm-hmm. And then if they are less strong, if they are weaker, then they maybe become abominations or servitors of the Manitus in our world.
Okay.
And then the weakest souls, they are trapped in Ghost Rock. And that is like a very bad awakening. You know, you got shot in the chest or something, you wake up and you're a freaking stone, you know, and somebody digs you out. That's not what you want to do when you wake up.
Ah, okay.
And so when you burn Ghost Rock, it's actually the screeching souls that are like crying out in pain and frustration, you know, because they're getting burned.
That's pretty cool, because from a
Yes.
theological point of view, I wonder why you can burn a soul.
Well, now you know it. You can.
This
if it's
is
a bad
not
soul.
possible, but but I don't know. Maybe we would use some input of theologians which are listening to the podcasts.
That's bound to be a lot of people. So, and Ghost Rock was deposited by the Reckoners. And, you know, we talked about the Reckoners before, the very strong Manitus. Mm-hmm. And they were deposited back in 63. So, nobody has found Ghost Rock before. And scientists say, well, it's just because you haven't dug deep enough. And, you know, and back then miners had a lot of gold, so they were not as desperate as they are today, so they didn't find it.
Okay.
But, you know, it was just deposited a few years ago. In the Deadlands role-playing game, every gizmo that you build as a mad scientist can explode anytime.
Cool.
So that's, you know, in Doomtown when you have all these, if you draw a club, then this thing explodes. That's basically what every gizmo in Deadlands does. You roll a 1, you go up in flames. It's really funny. And also, in Deadlands Reloaded, every time you construct a new gizmo that has a new power, your character gains 1 insanity, like 1 psychosis. So the better you become as a mad scientist, the madder you get, actually.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yes. And that's because, you know, all the Ghost Rock is like whispering in your ears, and Manitus start whispering in your ears as well. So it's like you're under a lot of bad influences.
Yeah, okay.
Now, the king of mad science is Dr. Darius Hellstrom.
Okay.
And Dr. Darius Hellstrom is one of the 4 servitors of the Manitus. When the Manitus came to America, they split up America in 4 regions, and they made one of their servitors the king of each region. Okay. And those servitors are Stone, who is a herald character, and we might talk about him later. There is Grimm, who is kind of a priest, but like a very twisted person. Mm-hmm. And the third one is Hellstrom. And Raven, also known as the Last Son, and we talked about him before as well. He's like the one who brought all the Manitus in our world in the first place.
Ah, okay.
So, those are the 4 big baddies. And Dr. Darius Hellstrom, he lives in Utah. And his area is like the whole region around there. And he arrived there in 1870. And Utah was, in that time, a Mormon state. And their leader was Brigham Young, who was the successor of Joe Smith. Joe Smith being the real, you know, founder of Mormons. He's like the actual Mormon.
Ah, he wrote the Book of Mormon.
That's right.
Oh, it was transferred to him.
Yeah, by angels.
Yeah, by angels, yeah.
Of course. So, and Dr. Darius Hellstrom went to Utah in 1870, and he brought a lot of wealth to the Mormons because he just started building like this industry, and he was inventing gadgets. And actually, he lives in or close to Salt Lake City. And in the Deadlands universe, Salt Lake City is like the technological hub of everything. It's like there is automatons running around in the streets, and everything is, you know, everything moves with steam and stuff. And that's also why the city is very, very ugly, because there is like smog, and you have a lot of problems there. So Salt Lake City is also called the City of Gloom, And he lives 10 miles west of Salt Lake City in a nice big estate, with walls around it and guards and guard dogs and clockwork tarantulas. So what could he possibly be hiding there? Probably nothing. He's a nice guy. Mm-hmm. Except, of course, he's doing like this hideous research and inventing stuff. And if I would ask you now, why is he such a crazy scientist? If you think back on movies about crazy scientists, what is driving them? Why has he become such a bad person?
I don't know. Do you think of Frankenstein or?
For example. But I think it's maybe.
So because he has lost his wife.
Yes, that's correct. He had a wife, she was called Vanessa, and she committed suicide.
Oh no.
And he's trying to bring her back by bringing the reckoning to the world.
Okay.
So, yeah, of course. It's the same story of every great scientist.
Okay.
And that's mad science. So, Hans, imagine I am an aspiring mad scientist in the Doomtown Reloaded card game. How would I actually invent a gadget?
Actually, this is one thing we did wrong at our start with Doomtown.
I think so.
So, you have to boot the mad scientists.
Yeah.
Then you have to pay the cost of the card in hand.
Yes.
So you have to play the card, pay the cost, and then you have to pull. And you add the pull to you add the mad scientist skill to the pull, and then you have to be above the difficulty.
Yes, or match it.
Or match it. Yeah, that's right. And it's a shopping action. So I think this was part of the problem with this
auto revolver.
With this auto revolver.
Yeah.
Because everybody thinks you can just draw it
in any shootout,
but you can't.
No.
It does only work when you control the location.
Yeah. So you need to control the location as well.
Yeah. So, and the problem with mad science is I'm not a big mad scientist, but you are. But the problem is when the pull doesn't work, you lose a card, you lose the ghost rock, and the mad scientist is booted.
Oh, that's so bad when that happens.
So basically, this drawback is so huge that you will build your deck that you almost always succeed.
I think so as well, yeah. It's just too much of a downside if you fail. Compared to hucksters or shamans or blessed people, they make a pull, the pull doesn't work, well, okay, the spell didn't work, hey, whatever.
The spell is maybe booted.
Yeah, but you don't lose the money all of the time.
Yeah.
And also...
then with gadgets also, the gadget is attached to the mad scientist.
Yeah.
And maybe you want the pistol or whatever to be equipped with another guy. You also have to do a trading action. Yeah. And this guy who has to be at the same location. So actually it's a rather clumsy mechanism.
Oh yeah.
But I think when it starts working, it can be pretty cool.
Yes, gadgets are incredibly strong when they work.
Yeah. But you need time to actually it's a rather slow deck, I would say.
Yes.
So
there's actually only two factions that have mad scientists. And the obvious faction is the Morgan Cattle Company, which has 80% of the mad scientists in the game. There is a few drifters, but I think not enough that you really want to import mad scientists into other factions.
No, I don't think so.
And there is the Law Dogs, surprisingly.
Yeah. They have I think 3 or 4 mad scientists, which are really strong. Drew Bowman is one of the strongest mad scientists there is.
Oh yeah, he's very good.
Because you can just invent so all the difficult or negative things we said about mad science is actually not true for Drew Bowman.
No.
Because he just invents them on the go.
Yeah. So Drew Bowman is a mad scientist who won in Law Dogs. He costs no upkeep. And every time a player reveals an illegal draw hand and you do not, he may immediately attempt to invent a gadget without booting. So that can start as early as lowball.
Yeah, first round.
Yeah.
Or before the first round. So I think we'll finish this podcast with you telling us what's your favorite mad scientist.
Oh, giddy. That's so exciting. You know, I was very much in love with Kyle Wagner.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's so sad. because he is a very vanilla mad scientist, he has a skill rating of 2, and he costs 3 to play and no upkeep. It's just, you know, you include him in every... I think you should include him in every real mad science-oriented deck, because he's so cheap and so efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But then there is...
He was eaten by cows.
Yes. And there is someone else in his place now, and it's William Specs. I think William Specs is by far my favorite mad scientist at the moment. Because a bit like Drew Bowman, he can help you mitigate the drawbacks of the clumsiness of the whole mad science process. Because you can boot William Specs, and then you can either play a wrench or an out-of-town deed, or you can have another mad scientist invent a gadget, and whatever you choose to play, it gets the cost reduced by his mad scientist skill, which is 2. So in a mad science-oriented deck, or in a deck that plays a lot of wrenches, which is also very common because a lot of wrenches are really strong deeds, in my opinion, he's kind of your guy who helps you, you know, he just gains you 2 Ghost Rock every round. And then he costs 1 upkeep, that's true, but he also has an influence, so he's kind of one of your stay-at-home guys. I think William Specs is a very good card. Just avoid one mistake that I actually did when I first played him. His card says that noon boot, and you can invent a gadget, but you cannot invent the gadget with himself. So you need to boot him, and then you need to have another mad scientist at the ready, because, of course, inventing a gadget also has your mad scientist boot, and you cannot boot William Specs when he's already been booted for his noon ability. It's a bit of a strange wording, but I think it's been in an FAQ.
So he helps the other mad scientist.
Yeah, for example, Kyle Wagner. You know, you just pay 6 for the both of them in your starting posse. And then first turn, Kyle Wagner invents something, William Specs reduces it by 2 Ghost Rock, and there you go. I think he's very good. So who's your favorite? Probably one of the Law Dogs, isn't it?
I'm not into that mad scientist. Maybe my favorite is, she's not a mad scientist at all. It's from the circus.
Oh, Valeria Batten?
Valeria Batten.
What can she do?
She can invent mystical goods with her huckster skill check as a mad scientist. So she can invent the clown carriage.
For example. And I think the holy wheel gun is also mystical.
Which doesn't make any sense from the Flash point of view. Because why would she invent a holy wheel gun?
Yes. She's kind of unholy herself.
Yeah. So maybe she's a nun.
Probably.
A disguised nun. I don't know.
Who knows?
Then why would she invent clown carriages? Doesn't make sense.
I think the concept of a clown carriage doesn't make sense in itself. I mean, what is it for?
I don't know. Interdimensional travel for clowns.
Yeah, okay. I can see why people would need that. Alright, anyway, I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for listening. And
see you next time.
See you next time, which is going to be next month, because we're now officially a podcast that operates once a month.
Yeah.
Alright. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Please send in your feedback to booteddudes@gmail.com. We will read out your questions or comments on future episodes. Music used with kind permission from Wellbad. You can find his music on Spotify, www.wellbad.de, or facebook.com/wellbadmusic. If you like our podcast, please subscribe to it on iTunes and/or write an honest review, ideally with text, because it helps other people find the show online. We'll meet again tomorrow at high noon.